what do you feel has made you unique in the way that you do accountancy?
I think it's probably one of the reasons I left is I don't feel a need to be anyone else. Like,
Yeah.
the way I speak to clients is very simplistic.
Yeah.
I don't need to give you bullshit blasé words to make me feel important. I want you to understand as much as I understand.
Yes.
When things started to turn around was actually, I got my first client off LinkedIn. And from there it was a snowball effect.
Right.
One leads into two, two to three.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, now actually, stuff is happening.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
We're actually trying to do things. Things are happening. Which is a weird feeling. People recognising you, actually, you're the Ellis the accountant.
Yeah.
So I posted for 6 months prior to that.
So
I didn't get one client.
Right.
And I was like, all right, wow, this is actually...
Yeah. And would you say in that 6 months you was posting consistently, and would you?
I wouldn't say consistently, it was more sporadic.
Right.
I think what actually happened is I come back into the UK December 21.
Yeah.
Moved back in with my parents. I was like, Mum, I actually can't afford to pay your rent. Is that okay? I was like, give me 3 months. And I'll nail this.
Yeah.
It was who can I actually appeal to? What do they like to consume? How can I help them out?
Right.
The reality was, a lot of businesses were started during COVID.
True.
Not a lot of people have an accountant they can relate to. They can actually have a decent conversation with. It's not some awkward robot.
Yeah.
So actually is looking for the best for them. Like, from an advice point of view, what is actually best? Not trying to milk them for what it is.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Your Life Beyond the Boardroom. I'm your podcast host, Luke Beastall, and I have a guest who's come all the way. I say all the way, it's not a million miles away, but from Manchester. I have Ellis here today from EA Accountancy firm. He's got a team of 5, and we're going to unravel this story. And I think how we're going to open this, because you know I do like to talk, but I also like the guests to really open up as well, is I'm going to let Ellis kind of share with us how we met. But first of all, mate, I just want to welcome you to the podcast.
First of all, thank you. This actually is my first ever in-person podcast.
No way.
So you're pleasured.
I do. I feel grateful.
How we met? So we met through a mutual client networking. I think our first conversation, you was out running.
I was. Got lost.
And I was like, I respect it. I respect the fact that you're out running and trying to do some stuff. Yeah.
We're a bit of a juggler, but it was mutual connection. But I love how, especially how we're sat here today, and just to kind of let you guys know as well, Ellis had said that, you've had opportunities before to kind of be in person. Obviously, this is the first one you've kind of jumped in on. And I think it's going to be a pretty cool episode. And I think, obviously, hearing your background as well, obviously I've followed you online as naturally you do. You follow people, follows the journey. I think there's going to be a lot that we're going to talk about. So I think I'd like to kind of start with this, because I think this would be a really cool place to kind of open up where you've been. When did EA Accountancy, when was it born?
When did it become a thing?
Yeah.
3.5 years ago, I officially started it.
Right.
So August 21.
Okay.
Left my corporate job, went travelling for 6 months, and I thought, fuck it. This either works or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I accept the fact if it doesn't work, I go and try and get another job. If it does work, perfect. I've done something, and I'm trying to do things differently.
Yeah, that's really good. So, when you was in your corporate job, what was you doing?
An accountant.
Oh, you was an accountant as well. Okay, so when you was in that environment, I guess there was something, not that I don't know if you felt trapped or something inside of you that thought, I want to go free, because obviously you decided to go travelling for 6 months. So what made you, or what was inside of you to leave that, I guess, a nice financial secure package behind, to then just get on a plane and go and travel for 6 months?
I think there's a few things. The first thing is, I hate the whole corporate environment, having to be someone that I'm not.
Right.
That to me is complete bullshit. And I think if you have to be someone else that you're not, you constantly have to put a front up. That soon wears and tears on you. And I was like, how about I can do something that I'm actually really good at, but do it my way? That's why the business started. I think another thing is, I always wanted to go travelling. COVID stopped that.
Yes.
Probably confidence as well stopped that. From leaving university, everyone went out and did travelling and things, and I was like, no, I actually just got a job and just went the traditional route.
Yeah.
I think the third thing is more so, there's a different way of living.
Yeah.
I don't have to conform with, you go to university, you go and get a job, you go and get a mortgage, kids, wife, in that particular. There's nothing wrong with that, but I just don't want to live like that.
Yeah. So you chose the way that you wanted to. I think that takes a lot of courage, by the way. And how old was you when you kind of made that commitment?
So I was 26 when the business actually officially started.
Wow. Yeah.
I had made the decision when I was 24.
Really?
And I was like, I'm going to do this. The reason is, so I joined the company, I was 21.
Yeah.
Bit of backstory, I got very nearly sacked twice in the first 6 months. Bear in mind,
okay.
I got a degree in accountancy finance. The degree compared to actual real life accountancy, made fucking bipolar opposite. I was like so out of my depth, and I was like, I'm not up to standard.
Yeah.
The boss made me fully aware of it. My manager at the time was saying, you're not very profitable, and I was like, that doesn't feel nice. I suppose from two aspects. From the aspect of, I don't think anyone should ever be told that in the first few months. Once you've graduated, we're not making a profit on you. Like, it's your sole aim to make a profit on me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that takes on the chin. The next 3 years, head down, passed my chartered accountancy exams. Basically, I had no social life, so it was a case of went to the gym in the morning, went to work, after work stayed at home for 2-3 hours to study, come back home, do it all over again.
Yeah.
In those 3 years, I become their office manager.
Right.
Was the front of the business from a networking point of view, from a client relationship point of view, from a technical aspect. And that at 24, I was like, surely there's more I can do. If everyone I'm responsible for is a lot older than me, they've been doing this so many more years, I must be all right at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So let me try and see what I can do in this industry.
This is really good stuff. I think the fact that you'd said there about some things that got said to you at such an early age, which obviously you didn't accept, like most people would probably just take it on board, take it on the chin, just crack on and just show up kind of thing, just do the day-to-day. You obviously went against that and said, hold on a minute, I'm not going to conform to this. This is not something that I want to be with. So when this had start, I guess, coming at you and stuff, like, did it affect you mentally in any way? Did it knock your confidence? Because obviously I know at such an early age as well, I mean, especially when you've just been studying, you just come out of university, obviously you must be on a bit of a buzz thinking, gosh, I've finally got a career, I'm doing something that I've just studied, and then you get hit with that.
I think the first thing was the fear of being sacked, and I was like, fuck, I don't want this.
Yeah.
I've got an opportunity here, to actually try and do something. I've studied university, and I was like, I can't fuck this up. So part of it was that. Part of it was almost a resentment to the person that told me, and I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'll prove to you what I can do. I ended up taking her role, but that's
no way.
Different matter.
Yeah, but that's really good. Obviously, you've obviously got quite an ambition inside. You've got that energy and that drive. Where would you say that kind of came from? An earlier age? Have you always had this sort of not proving you're wrong mentality, but you know what I mean? That kind of get up and go.
Okay, on a deeper level. So when I was 12 years old, I think it was, I was involved in an accident, road traffic. I got hit by a car.
Okay.
For the next 7-8 years of my life, in hospital, in and out of like therapy and like psychologists and stuff like that.
Right.
So I really have a normal like teenage years.
Okay.
One of the psychologists always said to me, always rings with me, you'll struggle with university, you'll never pass university, don't have ambitions for yourself. And that literally always stuck with me until probably the age of like 23, 24.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, game on, let's see who I can prove wrong.
So from such an early age, you was having those naysayers, that negative inside of you, and obviously you had an instance that, again, completely out of control that kind of knocked you back. And so what did you learn most about yourself from the ages of 12 to like 20 odd, that you'd gone through this in and out of hospital period? And what did you learn?
I think it was like, never let anyone tell you can't do something. That sounds quite generic.
No, it's powerful though.
But not everyone knows how you think and how you feel. You can have experts, but there's still no one can like live your life.
Yeah.
No one can tell you can't physically do something. So I think that constant reminder of someone telling you that to your face, it was like, all right, shit. I think it was a lot to take in at the time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And it was like, okay, let me go and do something about that.
It is a lot, and it can crush people, you know, mentally as well. And obviously, it shows that you've got a lot of resilience, you've got a lot of strength in your mindset. And when you kind of got this, obviously, you know, you're kind of proving people wrong. But what helped you through that period of time to keep yourself driving forward? Most
I
importantly,
think it's family.
Okay.
I have a close knit family.
That's good.
Very small family. I think that's the one true consistent I've had is a close knit family where they'll want the best for me.
Right.
They constantly push me.
Nice.
Which can be draining, not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
But it's a case of we push forward, we meet standards, we go and do it again.
Yeah. So on that's really good what you shared there. So how important would you say it is having family support through?
Not necessarily just family, just people you can rely on, trust 100%,
Yeah.
and know they've got you back.
Yeah.
And whatever happens in life, they love you for who you are, not this status, not this person that potentially you become along the way or whatever. It's the one true consistent.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And I mean, I just took in a little bit off my side. I can't begin to tell anybody, you know, having that family support who know who you are and push you and stuff and have always got your back and in your corner, the highs, the lows of everything. I think it is super important, especially with like mental health and things you want to go for. So when you had decided then, obviously I know COVID's in the way. So, you know, COVID for you, did that open up any doors? Did that change your mind or perspective on anything?
Yeah, I think what COVID actually did is present an opportunity for accountants.
Okay.
So typically you'd go to a local accountancy company.
Yeah.
You'd meet them in person.
Yeah.
Everything's very in person. Overnight that had to stop because obviously you could meet people in person. Everything become on Zoom, everything can become online. That meant the market for accountants become national, UK wide. I can now speak to someone in Scotland, London, but be based in Manchester. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting one. I've always wanted to go travelling. What stopped me from going travelling and still dealing with the clients all based around the UK? And I was like, all right, let's see what I can do.
Yeah, and that's obviously, I guess, that space as well, that little bit of period in COVID, because, again, I think it's changed everybody's life overnight, but I think how you've been able to adapt and navigate that is brilliant. So as soon as those doors opened and you booked that flight and that plane ticket, where did you decide to go first?
It was around Europe first because Asia wasn't open.
Right.
So
yeah,
I had quite a unique travelling experience in the fact that there wasn't very many tourists. I went to Thailand. I was one of the first tourists in Cambodia, in Singapore, since obviously the doors open sort of thing, which I've been back to the places since, and I much prefer when it was just lack of tourists because you get to see what actually life is like.
And you'll never get that again.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's quite a unique experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a big one. I think the whole 6 months up until going was difficult from a point of view of I've made the bosses fully aware.
Right.
They're trying everything in their remit to stop me.
Okay.
I'm not told them I'm starting a business, but in the back of my mind, I'm starting a business. Spoke to me pre-COVID about this and had this plans for me.
Yeah.
Then maybe I would have decided that I can do that. But I was like, it's just a reaction to try and get me to stay. That's not good enough for me.
Yeah, dangle the fruit or dangle it and expect you to think, yeah, I'll take that kind of thing.
Exactly.
You'd already made your mind.
Mentally, I was gone.
Yeah, you was checked out. Yeah. So before you booked that plane ticket, did you already have that, I'm going to start a business in your mind, or did you discover that more when you was travelling?
No, I had that full intention.
Right.
Everything I was doing at that point was very calculated, very, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I think I'm the sort of person where if I say something, I will go and do it.
Right, that's good.
And it's like, that needs to happen. Because otherwise, I don't want to live with the regret of, what if I had done this? What if I had said that? What if I didn't do that? It's, if I'm doing something, I'm doing it.
Yeah. And has that been something that I know we'd spoken off air and we were talking a little bit about this, and obviously the quote you've kind of given us, which I think ties in well with what you've just said there. Would that be a piece of like experience and wisdom now that you carry and share with others as a result of your own experience?
Yeah, I'd say a big thing is always follow through on what you've promised yourself. The most important thing is never let yourself down.
Very good.
If you expect certain things of yourself, regardless of whatever thing everyone else thinks, it's if you can look yourself in the mirror and think, actually, I've done what I've done because I've promised myself that, then you should be happy.
Yeah, that's really, really solid stuff there, Ellis. Do you know that? Because obviously I can tell you, like, I'm just going to do it anyway. You know, with the business, when you decided I'm going to do it, was there any self-doubt there? Was there any sort of fear? Like, what was going through your mind, if you can remember, when you kicked it off and said, it's going?
The first day, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I've got no, like, structure, routine,
Right.
sort of thing. I think I'd accepted long ago. I'd made, like, 6 to 9 months worth of savings. Like, I could live without that, without taking a penny out of the company. I accepted a long time ago, 6 to 9 months. If nothing happens, I can go and get a job. The only thing I've lost is nothing. I've lost a bit of money, but I've saved that up. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I could have gone and got another job in the click of my fingers.
Yeah. That's really good. Again, like what's the worst could happen? Was the people around you, like such as family, friends, even, were they fully supportive? What did they say in it? Because normally what happens is, I don't know whether you come across it, it's like when you start something completely new and a bit like, ooh, I don't know about that. Did you come up against any resistance?
A lot. Two people that were very close to me, mum and my nana. Business wasn't going well, especially when I come back from travelling.
Right.
It wasn't, like, lead generation wasn't good.
Yeah.
And there was constant in my ear, when are you going to get a new job? Like, when are you going to... I was like, settle with, this has not worked. That was a big one for me. Friends around me were never, like, supportive. I think they've never actually come across someone that started a business, especially at the age of 26.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, you don't believe me? Fair enough. Add you to the list of people I'll prove wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you can see where this is coming from, this drive inside you. And I think, you know, obviously you've gone against the grain. You've obviously had a lot of people, you know, they want you to do well anyway, but they're also wanting to make sure that you've got a bit of security. I mean, you've definitely been calculated about it. Like you said, 6 to 9 months savings behind you. You've not just gone off it on a whim. You know, this is completely, like, set out for you. You've gone for it. Did you give yourself, you know, when you said about, like, the lead generation was poor, you know, to hear that as early on, I think it's important. I mean, just the guys listening and watching this, that's their fear, right? Is when they start a business or look to do it, they fear that they want it all right, or they see cash coming in as soon as they do it, kind of thing. Did you give yourself a timeline? Did you say, well, I'm going to give myself until then, if nothing kind of happens, I'm going to look at something else? Like,
it was the 9 months. I was like...
Oh, 9 months, yeah.
As soon as that money runs out, I've got a decision to make. I've got to either go and do this completely, or it's not for me. I've tried, I've failed, but I've actually tried, and I've accepted the fact I've tried, rather than actually having this doubt of, what if?
Yeah. And then that's really good, and I think it's important for obviously people listening in and watching, that about how you would calculate that and giving yourself that space. You're not just going, well, I'm going into this, I've got nothing backing me. You had that backing. So when did your business then, if you recall a moment when, not like the magic started to happen, but when it started to gain momentum, and it was like, not like you're going to those people like, I've proved you wrong, get in there, but just that it was moving forwards.
I think, just touching back on the other thing, it's a case of what that 9 months did is allow me to have that mental peace and clarity of nothing can happen for 9 months. But I still have got the mental capacity or space to actually try things, try and fail, and actually it's going to have no repercussions. Now, not everyone's in that luxury position to try and do that, but I was, and I was like, I'm going to take full advantage of that. When things started to turn around was actually, I got my first client off LinkedIn. No way. And from there, it was a snowball effect.
Right.
1 leads into 2, 2 leads into 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, now actually, stuff is happening.
Yeah.
We're actually trying to do things. Things are happening. Which is a weird feeling. People are recognising you. Oh, actually, you're the Ellis the accountant. Yeah. So I posted for 6 months prior to that. So I didn't get one client.
Right.
And I was like, all right, wow, this is actually...
Yeah. And would you say in that 6 months you was posting consistently? And would you?
I wouldn't say consistently. It was more sporadic.
Right.
I think what actually happened is I come back into the UK December 21.
Yeah.
Moved back in with my parents. I was like, Mum, I actually can't afford to pay rent. Is that okay? I was like, give me 3 months, and I'll nail this.
Yeah.
It was... I deeped it. I was like, who can I actually appeal to? What do they like to consume? How can I help them out?
Right.
The reality was, a lot of businesses were started during COVID.
True.
Not a lot of people have an accountant they can relate to. They can actually have a decent conversation with. It's not some awkward robot.
Yeah.
So actually is looking for the best for them. Like, from an advice point of view, what is actually best? not trying to milk them for what it is.
And was that something you saw in the corporate though? Like,
Yeah.
So you was exposed to that because you was like seeing going, these people aren't real. Like this is not how I would want to do accountancy.
Yeah, I think my first experience with that was when I become head of sales for one of my previous companies. Is we have a price list.
Yeah.
And it's like I'll go into the sales meeting,
Yeah.
discuss prices, services, etc., etc. I'd then go into my boss at the time and explain what I've done, what I've offered them.
Right.
And now I was like, can you get a few more out of them?
Okay.
Can we advise them to be a limited company rather than a sole trader? But I was like, well, that's not best for them. Well, the reality is it's best for the company because we charge you more.
Yeah.
Therefore, they get more money, they earn more money, more profits. I was like, well, actually, that's disingenuous.
Yes.
Someone doesn't need to be a limited company straight away. Potentially, you can be a sole trader for a few years. And it'll save accountancy fees and that sort of thing. Whereas people are typically like, limited company, it's more money. That's
Right.
a lot of it. It's the bottom line, it's more money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I know from a limited company perspective, but yeah, no, absolutely. I think what you just said there about, but it's not right for them. So in that world that you was in, obviously you'd said that it's like conforming you to be somebody who you're not. It was, going in with that list and then can you get more money? Can you get more money? It's such a, it sounds so bad when you say it, and it's how businesses operate. Like how much can I take from somebody and it's not giving back? And you then gone, actually, that's not the way I want to do it. And you found a way for you. So if we talk about the business side of accountancy then, because there might even be people, I'm sure there's people listening and watching because they are business owners as well, is that they've probably got accountants and stuff. What do you feel has made you unique in the way that you do accountancy?
I think it's probably one of the reasons I left is I don't feel a need to be anyone else. Like,
Yeah.
the way I speak to clients is very simplistic.
Yeah.
I don't need to give you bullshit blasé words to make me feel important. I want you to understand as much as I understand.
Yes. You meet them where they're at in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also being there for them to like bounce ideas off. That's obviously goes beyond an accountant. It's more like a business advisory sort of thing role. But it's like we'll speak to every single client once a quarter. We'll go through and give them tax estimates. We have 24-hour response time policies. Whereas the accountancy industry is notorious of you'll speak to someone once a year, you'll wait 4 or 5 days for a response, and it's going completely against the grain. And people obviously love it.
Yeah. That's really good, and I think it's those touch points. It's those authentic relationships. Like, say, you're meeting them where they're at. I think that's really good. But what from, like, you travel from, obviously now you've got a team as well, and I guess what you've been breeding and what you've built yourself. What's been the biggest high? What's been like the euphoria moment of you now looking? Because if you go back to 2021, your accountancy firm was non-existent. It was an idea, but it didn't have a client. And now, yeah, I mean, we'll share where it's at now. But yeah, what's been that best moment for you? The biggest high?
Honestly, it's so every single month we have a social in the company.
Yeah.
We all go out and do something.
Okay.
And it's having the ability to do that.
Yeah.
That's not business related. It's a case of
No, that's good.
we work as a team and we go out and we don't speak about business. We'll go out and do something. So everyone, for example, Christmas, we went and did ice skating, went for a few drinks and food afterwards. The month before, we went to like a scare fest thing. It's having the ability to actually do things with your team. I think 'cause when I come from a corporate career, everyone's old, everyone's rigid. We didn't speak outside of work.
Wow.
We had a Christmas party once a year, which wasn't great.
Yeah.
You just go for a few drinks. It's like, well, that's not a company culture.
Yeah.
It's trying to actually create a company culture where people actually like working. They enjoy working with me, with the team, with the clients.
Yeah.
And creating that, I'm like, actually, like, congratulations, you're actually doing something different.
And that's really good. I really like that's a high for you, that it's fulfilling, that you're giving back to these guys, they're giving to you. Is that social and non-negotiable? Okay. So did you ever find that some of the guys didn't want to show up, or they're all eager to kind of come to the events? Because I find, I don't know what it is, in any event, like Christmas parties, for example, I guess it's what you do behind the scenes that probably people won't ever see. But to get them to come to those events, it could be a little bit out of their comfort zone. So I just wondered.
I agree. It probably is, especially for accountants.
Yeah, because
some of them can be quite awkward.
Right.
And I think once they experience what it's like working with us, they'll get a feel for what it's like.
Yeah.
We're actually just normal people.
Right.
We have a life outside of work. Yes, when we're in work, we work.
Yeah, of course.
But we can still have fun together and still work together.
Right. So that's really good. So you know how you've now created that, I guess, community really with your team, like good team ethos, good culture. What's actually been the impact as a result of on your business with your team as doing those things such as social events? What's kind of shifted?
I think a big thing is actually people actually come to work, which means they're happier, they produce better work, they build stronger relationships with the clients.
This is good, yeah.
Therefore, you get more referrals.
Yeah.
You get happier clients. People stay on for longer. It's a full cycle moment.
Yeah.
It is. I would say it's normal for an accountant to do that. Probably not. I don't think it's normal for many business owners to actually have a monthly social.
Yeah.
But it actually allows us to relax, enjoy. Because the reality is, well, none of us are the same.
Yeah.
As in, like, well, culturally all come from different areas. But just to come together and like have fun.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. The fun. So as the business owner, as the founder of this company, what have you taken away from watching this grow and evolve? Whilst you would have come up with that idea as like a non-negotiable monthly social. Obviously, you're the one that's kind of responsible in taking the forward step on that. Yeah, what have you kind of taken away from it all?
I think you treat people how you want to be treated yourself.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like,
I heard that. Yeah.
Literally, like, if the way I speak to you, I wouldn't want to be spoken to by you.
No.
Then don't do it.
Yeah.
And treat people as actually human beings. They're not robots. You're not just there to make money out of them. One, you're there to develop them.
Yeah.
Two, you're there to see what actually they can progress into.
Yeah.
And actually, what are their goals? Maybe they don't want to do X, Y, Z. Well, actually speak to them. Actually understand them as people to get the best out of them.
Yeah. I love the simplicity behind it. If I'm honest, I was like, just be human. Engage. Ask them questions like, yeah, what are your goals? And how much of a difference. And I'm just picking up on this point. So obviously, with the guys listening and checking in, what I'm taking away from what you're sharing is just how, I don't know, they don't see much pressure. Like, there is pressure, obviously, you've got targets to hit and stuff, I get that. But it seems to be like, it's quite playful, it's quite enjoyable.
Yeah, a careful nature.
Yeah.
Like, we actually care about the team. Like, we actually check in how you're doing, like, what's happening outside of work. Make sure if they want advice from us, we're there for them.
Do you find like with your team and stuff, do they come to you and open up? Do you find that they are very, communicative with certain things outside of work as well?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think the first part what I learned is for me to be vulnerable with them.
Right.
And then they'll like mirror that sort of thing.
Yeah, reciprocate.
I think that's a big thing that I wouldn't say struggle with. It's just I would never be open with people about I feel shit today.
Okay.
Why?
Do you feel that's just because of the position you're in, or like as the business owner that you don't want to?
I think first of all, like, I'm the head of the business.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
I'm the role model.
Yeah.
Per se.
Yeah, they're looking up to you.
And it's like, can you show weakness?
Right.
Well, the reality is I can.
Yeah.
They'll show weakness, and I get to understand them better.
Yeah.
What motivates them? What drives them? Where do they want to take their career?
Yeah. Do you still struggle with vulnerability, or are you
to an extent? I say I'm a lot better.
Right. And when was the first time, if you can remember, like when you probably did be more vulnerable with your team?
I would say it's a good question, actually. I think we've had a lot of moments where I'm like, I'm struggling like with X, Y, Z.
Right.
And they'll have to just message me and speak to me like,
really?
Ellis, everything's going to be fine. Like, I wouldn't say there's a specific moment that is in memory.
No.
I think a more recent one is my nana's currently, she's back home now.
Right.
So end of life care.
Okay.
And it's a case of they've just been very supportive with me.
Yes.
To actually be there for me and actually realise I've got like a responsibility to be there for my nana and be there for my family. And that's not necessarily business.
Yeah.
Like someone can actually take the reins and do X, Y, Z whilst I'm at the hospital or whatever.
Wow. No, that's really powerful, and being able to share that. I appreciate that, by the way, as well, because obviously it's not always easy to share that, but the fact that you can drop that role and responsibility you got and just be human again. Because remember, roles are reversed now.
Yeah.
Like, you've just been sharing about how you are treating those guys. You want them to be human. You're being human with them. You're going to their level. They're showing you that they want to do that with you.
It's a respect. Like, they actually respect me.
Yeah.
which I was like, okay, let's try this and see how it works.
Yeah. So is it so for you now then? I guess being a bit more of a vulnerable, owner of it, like what? How's that feel? Like what?
Scary.
Scary, yeah.
Scary because you don't want to be like too far where it's like, actually this is not a person I respect.
Yeah.
But it's a case of just letting them in to what's going on in here. How's things making you feel? How can they actually help you out? Like sometimes it'd be like a case of, okay, we've had a poor week. This client's left because their business has failed, or this has happened in personal life. And understanding that actually potentially not going to be as happy or as communicative as normal. Right. And just so they can understand me.
Yeah. That's that. I absolutely love that, and I think so they can understand you. Obviously, I understand from a point of view like it's letting them in, but you don't want to let them in too much because obviously you do have a role and a responsibility to do as a business. But at the same time, it's being able to balance that out as well. But I do believe though, just from what you've shared and me hearing it, I think that social each month will take that edge off. It'll allow that guard down, and because I guess when they I guess when they first probably went out on the first social, they probably thought, I don't know how to act around Ellis. Oh, he's our boss.
I felt that.
Yeah,
but I also felt it the other way around.
Right, you felt. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like the same things. Like you're like, they're gonna go, I really want loads of shots or something. I really want to go crazy, but I'm like, I don't know. It's my boss. He might have sacked me or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a case of the first one. It was obviously just me and Seth, and I was like, let's just be me. If they don't like me, then I don't really care. Life goes on.
Yeah.
But also take that time to get to know him as a person, his life, what's happened in his life, and just like understand each other.
I think this is really good though. I'm liking this piece because I think anybody in business, they have the Christmas socials, like I say, Christmas parties. Once a year, you've talked about with your previous job. They might have like an end of season thing. I don't know, whatever it is they do, but how you integrate that a monthly thing, I think is really good because it's connection, it's collaborative, it's communication, it's togetherness, it's the team element. So from your point of view, if we now come out of it and have a bit of like a helicopter's view on this, with you implementing like a thing like this where it's a social, what impact has that had on your team as a collective, and what impact has that had on your business growth and things that you do day to day?
I think just to touch back on that, one of the other reasons is I think we obviously live in a life where everything's online.
Yes.
Everyone works remotely.
Right.
Everything's online, Zoom calls. We're quite a lonely generation. Not a lot of the time we actually get to meet up with people.
Yeah, so true.
And it's like, okay, we don't have an office, but everyone's still based in Manchester or thereabouts. Can we actually just come together? Can we actually spend time together? We'll co-work during the day and do something in the evening. Doesn't always have to involve drinks. Like I think Christmas was the first time we actually had a drink together.
Right.
The other ones, no one's wanted to drink or
Of
was
course.
like required. So we'll go and do like go-karting or go bowling or play cricket together. And it's just like making sure it's fun and you're not necessarily the pressure of sometimes corporate jobs we go for drinks on Friday. That's fine, but not everyone wants to do that. Like Seth's Muslim, he doesn't drink.
Right.
So it's a case of making sure everyone's included in that.
Yeah, you make it inclusive. You're doing different things as well. And again, imagine that though, you're providing an experience like maybe they might go, say, go-karting and never done it, or maybe not done it for a while, and their inner child comes out to play kind of thing. But then that allows them to be a bit more themselves because they see you being like that, and then they take that a bit into the work and think, oh, it's okay, I don't have to, I don't know, dim myself down a little bit. I can actually really shine my light bright and be me.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and I think that's really good. And so your business then, obviously, if we just give it a little bit of like a reflect. So it started back in 2021. Obviously, you've started building a team of 5. How did that feel when you took on like your first person into the business? Was that a decision that you was like, I've got to bring somebody in, or was it you just met somebody and thought, would you want to come and work with me? Yeah, I'd just love to know.
So I've worked with a lot of freelancers before.
Right.
None of them also were full-time employed by the company. And I was like, they're not based in Manchester. I don't really have any sort of connection. There's no like emotional attachment. And I was like, I want, first of all, to develop people.
Yep.
And I was like, can I employ someone? the reality was I could employ someone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then who do I employ? I've interviewed a lot of people. I've hired people. I've had to fire them within a week.
Right.
The first time I employed Seth, obviously he still works for the company, I was like, fuck, this is actually real now. Like, this is a business. This is not just like a freelancer. I'm actually a boss, a role model, and I'm responsible for his salary every single month.
Yeah.
So actually, this is where it gets serious. But again, it is serious, but I still have fun.
Yes. Yeah. So you've always had that like blend in there with that. So when was that? So was that a year in business? Was that a couple of years in?
So this is the first year I've actually employed some people.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which has been a whirlwind, I'd say.
Yeah.
Everyone's got needs, wants, egos.
Yeah.
And it's trying to deal with all that. That can be a lot. Like, I've had to fire someone after a week. Was it a nice feeling? Completely not. Do I like doing it? No. But what I can't do is drop the standards of what I expect in terms of from a client point of view.
Yeah.
If that's not met, then it's on me. Because ultimately, whatever leaves this company, emails, work, whatever, is a reflection of me, of my business. So I think that's what made me nervous, because it's not always gone right. And it not always will go right. But as long as I can implement or maintain those standards, then perfect.
So it's good that you shared that about the other side as well, where you've had people in, you've had to fire them after a week. You know, you've not just like met people as you go along, like, yeah, they're the right person, etc. You know, you've come across some people that you're just like, see ya, kind of thing. So what was the moment though for you where you'd looked at your business, obviously a couple of years in, you've gone, or 3 years, and say you've come in, you've like, right, I've got to start building a team.
I think it's a case of the business can't grow to the level I want it to grow to when everyone is just freelance, because ultimately I can't be responsible to speak to every single client. Like, what happens in accountancy is everything gets often outsourced to offshore, like say overseas, like India. Again, nothing wrong with that. However, then I'm responsible for communication with clients. And to put it in perspective, like 380 clients now.
Wow.
I can't be responsible for communication for every single one of those clients.
Yeah.
So I need people based in the UK that can actually speak to people, and it's not just me. So for the business to grow, that needs to naturally happen. Of we have people, first of all, based in the UK, but can actually speak to clients face to face, and not me being there every step of the way. Yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, I just thought then when you said 308, I was like, because you was talking about being human with them, you know, what's your goals? Like there's absolutely no way you'd be able to understand them, I guess, on a human level, because there's that many. So that's where obviously the delegation came in, getting the right people through. So for you then, I guess you'd then taken on another role once you're the business, and obviously you built the client base, you then looked at your vision. I guess then you became a multiple hat, like a coach, a mentor, I guess, maybe like an agony aunt in a way, from like a therapist in a way. How did that change you as a person in the business when you started like taking the team on?
I think maybe become a bit more self-aware.
Right.
Of actually, people are going through things you'll never actually know. And if you actually get to understand them, you understand why sometimes, I don't know, they've not done X, Y, Z. Which is fine. Obviously, it can't continue, but you need to understand them, because otherwise it's just like brute force. No, you've done it wrong. You've done this wrong. Done that wrong, and that can be it has a negative impact on them. If you're constantly saying something's done wrong, with never praising them or not understanding why things have gone wrong, that does have a negative impact on the business and then ultimately on them.
Yeah. So what you've said there, obviously getting to know them and understanding them. So your awareness and I guess checking in, with them, checking in, seeing how things are going, what's going well, what's not going so well, so feedback, evaluation, and then I guess in a way kind of guiding them onto what it is that you want them to do, basically. I think that's really good. So as bringing somebody in, I mean, if you was to, you don't have to pick out a member of staff or anything like that, but if you was to think of a situation when they first came in, because I guess they were nervous, having you on their side, being a part of your community that you've got with accountancy, what would you say has been the biggest change in them by having somebody like yourself that is very human-centred and is willing to be vulnerable and open up?
I think they go above and beyond for the company.
Right.
Like, yes, they don't have to work 9 till 5.
Right.
As long as I get the hours done, I don't really care what time they work. As long as it's like 3-4 hours where we're all working together, I don't really care about the rest of it. Does that answer your question?
It does. We'll expand it, because I think what would be really powerful for the guys watching this is the person that came through the door of your accountancy and where they are now as a result of having somebody like yourself with your approach. Because like what you said there, you had found it where, I'm just talking about the society today, if we're going to that, like the turnover, staff leaving left, right and centre, burnout, stress, resentment, you had felt a little bit that being in the corporate world. So I just wondered, like, not your approach as such, but what you've done to help them change from when they walked into where they are now.
I think a big one was the first two, so Laura and Seth, they obviously worked for accountants before.
Yeah.
They've never actually spoke to the owner of the company or their manager, whatever you call it, about anything other than work.
Okay.
And they've never actually been praised.
Wow.
The only time they've spoken to someone is if they've done something wrong.
No way.
And it's like, they'll then resent speaking to that person because
course.
they mentally think, every time I speak to them, they've got something bad to say, or I've done something wrong, or I've not met standards. And it's actually just showing them, like, I'm proud of the work you've done today. Like, congratulations. Like, well done on this. Just little things like that.
But that there, what you just said is probably, I can imagine that doesn't really ever happen. And obviously you are going to then bottle it up because you're thinking, it's just, look, I'm just not going to say anything because I know what's coming. It's going to be a negative. It's going to be like, you've done it wrong again, or like, it's all negative. There's not many positives. So you praise your staff, your team. Is there anything that you could share with the audience that you do with your team in terms of positive stuff? I'm not saying that you do I've heard things such as like to do award ceremonies, do achievements, get medals, all that kind of stuff. But I just wonder if there's anything that you do to keep the morale high within your team environment.
I don't think there is one thing that we do.
No.
Like, I don't have like award ceremonies
No.
and that sort of thing.
I know.
I think it is a case of the small things.
Yeah.
Of, say something has not gone wrong, something's gone wrong, sorry, and it's the case of they probably expect me to go like, what the fuck have you done? It's potentially a different approach of, actually, what can I do to help you out so that doesn't happen again? And it results to back of, I put the blame on everything on me. If something bad's happened, it's because I've not explained something good enough, or I've not educated them, or I've not taught them how I'd like it to be done. It's almost like taking that ownership of, actually, it's my fault. What can I do differently? Rather than looking at people and thinking, you're the issue.
That's a really good frame, though, that what you shared there about how you kind of put it through that sort of lens of, you're thinking about, hold on, have I spoken to this person? Have I actually given them the right sort of advice, guidance? You kind of turn on you because they will obviously, it's me, it's all my fault, it's my, kind of thing, and they'll feel dead guilty and probably not want to try again. But you're asking them what could have gone better. What you're kind of calculating it out and allowing them to open up to you, I guess, and feel that, it's okay to make a mistake, and I'll try again, and next time.
Because the reality is, everyone's going to make mistakes.
Yeah, and that's...
We're all human.
Yeah.
You will make mistakes.
I've
made plenty of mistakes.
Yeah.
A lot. And treat someone like they're human, like people can fuck up.
This is big what you're saying. I think what I'm taking away a lot about this is the word human, We live in a world so artificial and everything's fast, and again, we're hiding a lot, we're not being our true selves, and you've just said we're human, we make mistakes, but we're not acting human because we're fearing making mistakes. But for you, it's like you're encouraging your team and your morale and even yourself going, hey, I've made loads of mistakes. But, everybody from the outside, looking at what you've built, team of 5, 380 clients will go, it's perfect. He's got it all right. He's just smashed it. He's got this, oh my gosh, he's there stood in Thailand. He must have, but it's not. You've been through so many challenges.
Yeah, I think that goes back to like social media. Everything looks perfect on social media.
Yeah.
You've got 380 clients, congratulations, you must be earning a fortune. Well, do you understand what the rest of it looks like?
Yeah, yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
They just look at one figure and think, actually, congratulations.
Yeah. No, that's and you know, if there is just on that note, because obviously I can see you're very open in everything that you do. Is there anything in your like business world that probably people wouldn't see on social media or don't know about you or whatever that you would like to share as a piece of wisdom to people watching in today if they were to go and build their business?
I would say the thing that I struggle with the most is the inability to switch off.
Right.
Like constantly of thinking of, we should have done this, we should have done that. And I'm not harsh with the staff, but I'm harsh with myself because I've set standards of what I want to achieve and what I want for myself. The inability to switch off has negative impact on friendships, relationships, etc., because sometimes I'm not present.
Okay.
Open and honest. Sometimes I'm thinking, I'm physically here.
Yeah.
Mentally, I'm not. I'm miles away. I'm in a meeting I was in last week, wondering why didn't I give this advice or something like that. That's something that I think most business owners struggle with.
It is.
But no one admits the detrimental effects it has on friendships, relationships.
I honestly feel that probably most don't know the impact until it's actually happened. You know, it's like when somebody walks out the door and leaves, or when they've lost staff back to back and go, where the hell's this come from? That's when. So that self-awareness, like you said earlier on, I think is massive and key. The checking in and slowing down. So I appreciate that honesty and I can relate to that. You know, switching off's really hard. We were talking before about obviously taking a bit of time away and stuff. So what have you been doing behind the scenes or beyond work then that helps you switch off, even if it's for an hour?
I think two things. Having a personal phone, having a business phone.
Yeah, great idea.
Like, if I need to switch off, unfortunately, I'll switch the business phone off.
Yeah.
The second thing is fitness.
Right.
And actually, that is me time. That's when I go and do whatever I need to do. Whether that's running or lifting weights or whatever, that's me.
Do you find you can switch off in those times?
I won't say completely switch off, but mentally, when you've got a weight and you're struggling to push it up.
Yeah, I would say you can't be thinking about
conversation.
Yeah.
I think that and the sauna. I think the sauna does wonders for me.
Yeah, no phone either as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're there with your own thoughts, aren't you?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, honestly, I think something I was sharing the other day actually about it, like running for me. Obviously, I know you run as well. We'll even get onto a bit of that. It's just that I don't run with any music. I don't run with any earphones in. Like, yeah, my phone's obviously there just in case any emergency or whatever. But I just like I think it's the thoughts of like, because everything's going on in your mind, like work, that call, this meeting, this whatever, and it just kind of lets it flow out and just slow down, and then you're a bit more present. And I think it's really key in what you're sharing there about the inability to switch off. Let's be honest, right? I think I'll probably, and you'll agree with this and talking to most business owners, I don't think you'll ever really switch off when it's your own business. I think we've got to be, you know, people say, you're always working. It's like, but when you're passionate about it and you love it though, it's not even like a job. It's like you've retired early because you love it that much. But I think just having those spaces where you can have those switch off moments to be present, I think is really key.
I think that's only took me this year to actually realise what actually makes me switch off.
Right.
Or what actually helps ease that stress or those thoughts of actually what have I not done in business today. I think it's the case of when you're like physically or mentally exhausted, I can't think of anything else. Like, I don't want to think of anything else. I just want to think of, if I'm running, that next step.
Yeah.
That's all I need to think of. And nothing else matters at that moment.
Yeah. That's really good. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but just hearing you say there about this year's been the year where you've really started to understand the ability to switch off and the power in that. Just hearing you about this has been the year where you've built your team. I personally feel that having a team as well and being responsible for them, and obviously having these socials and stuff, and seeing and being aware of how much it's changed them and helped them in the environment, I believe that's gone into your life as well in a way where it's made you think, actually, if I'm doing this with the team, I want to be doing this as well because I know how impactful it is. Would you say that's something that has been a learning curve for you as well?
Yeah, I think if I look at, say, how happy I'm or content in myself this year compared to the previous years, it's night and day.
Right.
Literally night and day. From a point of view of the stress of work, say historically, I've got no one else to speak to about it.
Yeah.
Now I've got a team to
I was
deal
just
with the
going to
issues.
Yeah.
Can we actually bounce ideas off each other? Can we say, actually, how's the best way to approach this? I've got monthly socials with the team. We can go out and do things. I can see people. We can interact with people. We can just talk about life and enjoy the moment. I think being in shape, yes, obviously you look good, you're more confident,
Yes.
the way you appear, etc., but mentally as well, I can now be slightly more present or more dialed in.
Yeah.
And I know if I need that time, that's what I need to do.
Yeah, no, it's so good, and I agree with what you're saying, and I think just kind of recapping on the point where you've got people to talk to. It's that support network as well, isn't it? It's that team culture where I guess when you're on your own, it's when you're building something, and understandably, when you first start out in business, you kind of got to do that. I guess you probably might not have many days off, and it might mean that you have to just graft to grow and build, and you're a bit lonely in a way. But then what you've done is by having a team, implementing the socials, still being what you've always been, which is like, I want to do it my way, but be human with people and just meet them at their level, has allowed you now to understand the power in being present. And if you're not present, then you also know what the impact could be. Because you've been on both sides.
No, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and that's really good because it's so easy to get caught up in the treadmill, the rat race. Obviously you live in a city, Manchester. It's fast. I'm from a village kind of thing, and it's pretty quiet and slow. Obviously I'm a bit fast paced. So for you, what helps you? I know you said about the fitness and you said about the fun, but what would you say else in your life, or even routine that you do that helps you slow down and be present?
I think it's a case of constantly. Obviously, we live in a social media era of like everyone's posting highlight reels.
Yeah.
And you think everyone's life is perfect and stuff like that. The end of every single day, I will journal what's happened during the day.
Okay.
From two aspects. What actions and decisions or thoughts and emotions arose today and how have I dealt with it. The second thing is, have I done things today that the ideal person who I want to be would do? Or if I've not, why not? Like, what have I done and why have I done it?
Right.
I think it's getting that mental capacity or space of on paper, or if it is on your phone or whatever, just to actually reflect on your day, but actually get things out of your mind onto paper.
Yeah. So you kind of brain dumped it in a way, your thoughts. How much of a difference has that made in your life?
I only just started that recently, so last 3 months.
Right.
But I do think it helps me understand myself a bit more. Of actually, why do I do things? Why have I thought this way? I think that.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because obviously, the other guests that I've spoken to, and it's great to hear kind of the routine stuff, but that, because when you're in the business, you can be in it all the time and you can miss things, I guess, sometimes because it's fast. Things are moving, situations are changing. There's things out of our control, there's things in our control, and you kind of then forget about yourself, like even just checking in with your own emotions and your thoughts, like what you're doing there, like you're going. So if Ellis at his best self, or the Ellis who I really want to become, what would he do? What would he do differently? I think that's a really good kind of moment there. And again, it's just it's not a hard thing to do, really. It could be 5 minutes at the end of the day with a pen and piece of paper, but we kind of we can dismiss it, and it's such a thing. And I think obviously you've spoken about, I think, which is really good, the fact that fitness has been a part of your life. Obviously, you've got into the running side. What would you be saying to anyone out there that is starting a business, if they truly want to grow their business? How important is it for them to have that self-care and look after their well-being?
If you spoke to me, say 3 years ago when I first started the business, I also do accept the fact the first few years can be horrific.
Yeah.
you'll learn and you're failing so often, and it's dealing with that.
Yeah.
Like for 6 months, being on sales calls and every single client saying no.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, what the fuck have I done wrong?
Right.
But it's accepting things aren't going to be perfect. Accepting you will fail, you will fuck up.
Right.
You will sometimes miss social events. You won't feel great. You will potentially feel lonely. But if you keep doing it, keeping the right things and potentially failing and learning from it, there's a beauty in that of you'll learn and you'll get better at it. And eventually there will be light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, I was just going to ask you, what did you do to deal with the failure and those constant no's and rejections?
I think it's a case of learn from it. Like it's so easy to be bitter or uptight about someone saying no. But the reality is, okay, they've said no. They said no for a reason.
Yeah.
Try and understand that. Now, someone might not always tell you the reason why, but understand it. Is it price? Is it service? Is it the way I come across? Is it the way I speak?
Yeah.
And trying to deep it on that sort of level, rather than just, they're not an ideal client. The reality is they might not be an ideal client.
Yes, of course.
But there might be a different reason. And I think that results back into everything's my fault. The reason they said no is my fault, not them.
Yeah.
If it's price, it's because I didn't actually showcase the value which we'll provide for them.
Yeah.
If it's not the right time, well, how can I justify it's the right time for them? If they've got a better accountant, well, actually, we've not showcased our skills and what we can do for them. That sort of thing.
Right.
But ultimately, it's my fault.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I can see that. Yeah, it's like you're looking at it. You want to learn. You want to strive to be better. You want to know what the real reason is. Not just I can't afford it or I don't want to work with you guys, or you kind of want to truly understand the reason behind it. And I think it's commendable that, and I'm hearing this quite a lot now, that just the amount of repetitions that you have to put in and the amount of resistance and objections that you face and the no's and everything, but you still keep going.
It's like you want to run a marathon. You've never done running before. You decide building a business is running a marathon.
Yeah.
You're going to go on so many runs, you got to do a 5K, 10K, marathon.
Yeah.
And you will feel exhausted. You will not hit the time you want. But ultimately, you've got to do it again. Because if you ever want to run the marathon, by being able to run the marathon, it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
You're not just going to go out there and run it.
No.
You need to learn and get better at it. Was my nutrition right? Was my sleep right? Was my hydration right?
Yeah, there's a lot of, like you say, factors to it that again, and that's, I guess as well, that's probably not what anyone's going to truly see and feel until they're in it. Yeah. So from you then, just now being a business owner for 3 years?
3.5.
3.5 years, yeah. What's been the biggest thing that you've taken away from being a business owner, even about yourself, really?
How much you'll feel lonely in certain elements of the growth.
Right.
And how much certain elements of growth mean completely fuck all. I think we spoke about it earlier.
Yeah.
One of my biggest goals was to get to 10K per month.
Yeah.
I achieved that. That felt good for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, like, is that it?
Yeah.
Like, it gets to a point where more money doesn't actually mean anything else. Like, it may just be a detrimental impact on your life. It may mean you have to work an extra few hours every single week, which you could do, I don't know, spending time with friends, family, etc., etc. I think the financial goals is a difficult one. Since I learned the 10K thing, I don't really deep it too much. That sounds weird coming from an accountant.
As long as it's all you see it as numbers, don't you? Yeah.
As long as it's growth and we're aiming towards meeting targets, I don't put too much emphasis of I'll be happy when I do this, or it's just enjoy the process.
Yeah. That's good though, because it is that you come across a lot of people like, I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
And then it's all outcome, isn't it? It's all like, I'm chasing the outcome. Like you could say, I'm chasing the 10K per month. But then it's like when you've got there, because you've maybe not enjoyed the process, you're just constantly push. You then go, oh, is that it? when really like you can enjoy everything that you're going through to get there, and
like actually deep in what you've actually done to get there.
Yeah.
Because then you have the same thing at 20, 30, 40, 50k a month. It's like, well, actually, understand and be proud of what you've done. You might not be satisfied, that's perfectly fine. But understand what it's took to get you to that position.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing, again, that awareness though. You know, when you just talk about the self-awareness. So your business obviously now is in a great position. Obviously you've got a team of 5, it's been a big year for you. What's next for you? What's kind of going into 2025? What are you thinking?
A few things. Obviously, the growth of the company, yes, that naturally happen. I do want to acquire other accountancy companies. Cool. Literally, we'll buy their client bank and take over the whole clients. That could be 200-300 clients in one hit.
Right.
Does it scare me? 100%.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Does it excite me? Yeah. I think what I'd do is I'd back us 100% to build the relationships that we need to build, given the state of the accountancy industry compared to how we approach it. That 100%, I have no doubt about that. That's one thing. Two thing, the Dubai situation is an interesting one.
Right.
I feel like there's no one that's really took that and actually built a successful business on helping entrepreneurs in the UK essentially move to Dubai, or that transition period. There's a lot of bullshit out there online and saying you can do X, Y, Z. Most of it you can't do. It's essentially building a business in Dubai to help people do that. That's something that's interested me for a long time. I think the third thing is the outsourced FD role. It's like a financial director for companies. So working with slightly bigger businesses and getting into their financials on a much deeper level, and advising them what is going wrong, why is it going wrong. I think the thing that excites me about that is people get too emotional with their businesses. Ultimately, it's their business. It means a lot to them. Take the emotion out of it. Are you shit at what you do? Is it a return on investment on this? Or what's going wrong? Why is it going wrong? How can we correct it?
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. I like the goals as well. You know, especially with client banks going into that scary, exciting, the Dubai transition. I know a few people that are in our industry that have moved out there, and it does sound quite complicated and a bit of a shock than probably what you would see it as. So I guess that I'd be interested to see how that all works your end, because not saying that I don't particularly want to move to Dubai, but I mean just how people even set a business up out there just for obviously tax purposes and stuff like that. But what's next for you then on a personal level?
Personal level, I've got a lot of fitness goals this next year. So I've got, I think in the space of 6 weeks, 2 marathons and the High Rocks booked.
Yeah.
What else? So in November, I added my dad to the payroll, essentially retired him. I will do the same for my mum this year, this coming year.
Nice.
That's a personal goal. Other than that, I think spending more time being present and doing things I love to do.
Right.
That ultimately has to be one of the main aims, because I didn't get into business to become a millionaire and earn millions and have nothing to show for it. As in, like, I couldn't go out and book a trip. I couldn't be present. I couldn't do this because ultimately, yes, I'm 29 years old, but I don't want to look back at life and think, I should have done this or I could have done that.
Yeah.
So can I just take it as it is?
Yeah.
If I'm going to do something, go and do it. Like, I want to go skiing, I'll go skiing.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, we was, I mean, just to check in with the guys, well, we was talking beforehand about guys in the 20s, people in the 20s, just in general, go out and enjoy it, explore it. It's like, well, even in your late 20s, even your 30s, whatever age, even though you're building up your business or you've got it to where it wants to be, don't forget that part of being able to be present and go and enjoy it and take out these things. I think just where you said about next year, having, you know that something you're struggling with is the ability to switch off, but you're actually putting something into next year that you want to work on that. You're not just dismissing it and parking it. You're like, I'm going to lean into it. And I know it's not easy, but that's what I'm ultimately going to do to drive the business forward. I'd be interested to see, and also here as well, so we'll stay in touch on how that helps you as well with the aspirations of the business, because that sounds pretty big as well. So look, we're actually getting towards the end of the episode. Ellis, and we was talking before, and he was like, "Any questions you want to pray?" And I kind of giving you away the question, to be fair. So probably you maybe like replayed an idea in your head, but I'd just love to know from your perspective, in your mind, and how you see it is what would, or not what would, should I say, what does mastering your life mean to you?
Mastering my life. That's a good question. I feel like I don't really. A lot of things in life don't actually scare me on a deep level. I think one thing where what wouldn't satisfy me is if I died tomorrow and I had a list of things I could have achieved. It's having the ability to actually think I was working towards something, but also taking care of the people around me. If I can do that, I'm mastering my life.
Yeah.
I've been never satisfied to say I actually have mastered my life.
Yeah, of course.
It's a case of I'm striving towards the things that I actually want, what are actually meaningful for me. For example, the highlight of this year is I went to a food bank on Monday, provided a lot of food to people over Christmas.
Yeah, brilliant.
Ignore the bullshit of business, the financial goals, all that. That meant more than the rest of it.
Yeah, wow.
So working towards something that actually means something to me is huge.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And like you say, mastering your life. I mean, I'm same as that in terms of it never being a finite thing. It's a constant refining and stuff. But I like the fact there and about where you sort of meaning of giving back, in different ways. So, look, Alice, it's been great, mate. Obviously, I've thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and there's some things you've shared that I wouldn't have even thought of. This is why I love this space. So if anyone was listening, watching this, and they wanted to connect with you and even spark a conversation, just want to get to know you, or maybe, want to ask for advice or anything, where can they find you?
So I think the platform I'm biggest or most present on is LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So it's Ellis Bennett FCCA.
Yeah.
Which is my professional qualification, in case you're wondering.
Yeah. What's that?
Or my business Instagram, which is EA Accountancy.
Yeah. Brilliant. So we'll ensure that's all in the show notes. People will be able to find it if they don't forget. But if they know that that's where you're most active, that's they'll connect with you. But look, final thing from me. Thank you so much for coming down from Manchester to spend an hour in the studio. It's been enjoyable, mate. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
So, likewise, I actually really enjoyed it. And it's nice actually just speak about shit actually means more than just a numbers on the spreadsheet.
Yeah, good man, good. I'm glad it's been a good experience. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to our episode. If you've got any feedback or any questions for us in regards to our in-person podcast episodes, just either drop a comment below, send us a message, and we would love to hear any sort of feedback, and we'll respond within 24 hours and make sure that the next episode is invaluable to your ears. Take care.